welcome to the news update on AFRICUNIA television, reaching you from our studio in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos, Nigeria. I am Deborah Ezeh. Many thanks for joining me. We begin from Nigeria. The Senate would this week meet to review the 6 weeks ultimatum it gave President Muhammadu Buhari to end insecurity or be impeached. The OPA Legislative Chamber, billed to resume on Tuesday from the end of session recess, will sit as a whole to consider the security situation in the country since it gave the ultimatum and came up with further decisions. Some People's Democratic Party legislators in the Senate had staged a walkout after Senate President Ahmed Lawan dismissed a motion by the minority leader Philip Aduda. The lawmakers left the chamber after Lawan did not allow Aduda to present his motion on insecurity. The opposition senator, numbering over 20, later gave the president a 6 weeks ultimatum to tackle insecurity in the country or risk being impeached. Speaking after the walkout, the minority leader said he wanted to give President Muhammadu Buhari an ultimatum to address the insecurity issues in the country or face impeachment proceedings. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Aviation, representing Kogi West, who is also an APC member, later told journalists that the move for impeachment was a collective decision of the entire Senate. While some Nigerians hailed the move by the opposition senators, others said they waited for too long to act and only issued the impeachment threat because the criminals have infiltrated Abuja. And now moving on, 24 Nigerians have sued the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC for failing to give them and other Nigerians adequate time to complete their voter registration after online capturing. The applicants, who were suing for themselves and on behalf of other Nigerians, want to complete the registration process so that they can obtain their PVCs and exercise their right to vote. Recall that INEC recently disclosed that out of 10,487,972 Nigerians who carried out their pre-registration online, only 3,444,378 completed the exercise at a physical center. This represents just 32.8% of completed online registrations. The claimants are also seeking an order of mandamus to direct INEC to provide adequate facilities and deploy personnel to the registration units of the plaintiffs. They also argued that the inability to complete the registration is entirely due to factors outside of their control. No date has been fixed for hearing of the suit. Away from Nigeria, several hundred people demonstrated peacefully on Sunday in the streets of the Nigerian capital Niamey to protest against the French anti-jihadist force Bahrain, while praising Russia with cries of Bahrain out, down with France, long live Putin and Russia. Demonstrators went through some streets of the capital before holding a meeting in front of the headquarters of the National Assembly. Some demonstrators carried Russian flags and held up signs hostile to France and Bahrain. Some of the placards read, "Get out of the criminal French army," or "The colonial army Bahrain must go," in this demonstration authorized by the municipal authorities of Niamey. Some 3,000 French troops are still deployed in the Sahel, including Niger, one of Paris' main allies, after their total withdrawal from Mali. The Bahrain force had been ousted by junta in power in Mali since 2020, which is suspected of working with the Russian parliamentary group Wagner. Meanwhile, Ghana on Friday declared the end of the Marburg virus disease outbreak, a fever almost as deadly as Ebola, 2 months after recording 3 cases, 2 of them fatal, the World Health Organization announced. Ghana's Ministry of Health has declared the end of the epidemic after no cases were recorded for 42 days. Although the country has no experience with the virus, Ghana's response has been swift and robust. Dr. Mashidiso Moeti, WHO Africa or the Regional Director for Africa, was quoted as saying in the statement, "This was the first time the fever had been detected in Ghana, which has confirmed a total of 3 cases, 2 of them fatal in the outbreak, which was declared on 7th July. WHO announced the end of the first Marburg virus outbreak in West Africa in September 2021, 42 days after a single case was identified in Guinea. Sporadic outbreak and cases had previously been reported elsewhere in Africa, including Angola, Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The onset of the disease is sudden, with high fever, severe headache, and eventual malaise. Now, case fatality rates have varied from 24% to 88% in previous outbreaks, depending on the virus strain and case management, according to the WHO. Although there are no approved vaccines or antiviral treatments for the virus, oral or intravenous rehydration and treatment of specific symptoms improve survival rates. We now go on a short break, and when we come back, it's updates making the rounds on the foreign scene. Just stay with me. And now welcome back onto the foreign scene. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said that mass graves found in Ukraine were evidence of Russia's war crimes and that full accountability for its actions was needed. Justin, in London for the funeral of Queen Elizabeth, told reporters that he had met with British Prime Minister Liz Truss and that the Russian invasion of Ukraine was at the top of the agenda. Obviously, the UK and Canada have been two of the strongest countries in standing up in support of Ukraine and pushing back against Russia's illegal actions. Those actions increasingly clearly including war crimes, absolutely unacceptable crimes, whether we think of what we found in Bucha or the discovery of mass graves in the reclaimed territories by Ukraine, he said. Ukrainian forces or officials said last week that they had found 440 bodies in the woodlands near Ezeh in northeastern Ukraine, a town recaptured by Ukrainian forces. They said most of the dead were civilians and the cases or causes of death had not been established. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden said US forces would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion, his most explicit statement so far on the issue. Asked in a CBS 60 Minutes interview broadcast whether US forces would defend the democratically governed island claimed by China, he replied yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack. Asked to clarify if it meant that, unlike in Ukraine, US forces, American men and women, would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion, Biden replied yes. The interview was just the latest time that Biden has appeared to go beyond long-standing stated US policy on Taiwan. But the statement was clearer than previous ones about committing US troops to defend the island. Taiwan's foreign ministry expressed its thanks to Biden for its reaffirming of the US government's rock-solid security commitment to Taiwan. Still on the foreign scene, Typhoon Marburg brought ferocious winds and record rainfall to parts of Japan on Monday, as one of the biggest storms to hit the country in years killed at least one person, disrupted transport, and forced some manufacturers to suspend operations. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida delayed his departure to New York, where he is due to deliver a speech at the UN General Assembly until Tuesday to monitor the impact of the storm. One man was killed when his car was submerged by a flooded river, and firefighters were trying to determine if a man in his 40s was inside a hut that was buried by a landslide. At least 69 people were injured, about 340,000 households, most of them in Kyushu, were without electricity early on Monday. And now on to the sports scenes, our headlines making the rounds. Just stay with me. And that concludes the news update on AFRICUNIA television. Do ensure to follow all our social media platforms on Jointim, Pangram.ct, Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter in that respective order. And you can also link us up on www.africunia.tv. Once again, I am Deborah Ezeh. Bye for now.